What is wrong with these people? That's a perfect start to this week's The Current Temp. Have you ever had to work with someone who's difficult? I'll let you think about that one for just a moment. We've all worked with someone just like that. We'll call them people with unique personalities. Now, these are someone who drains the room, slows progress, or makes simple conversations harder than they should be. I seem to talk about these things all the time in my personal life. It's something that almost all of us have had to deal with. So today we're going to do something that's helpful. It's not something I've ever seen anyone talk about before or address. So this is going to be a first for us, maybe for you, and hopefully we'll have some fun. All right, welcome, my friends. Welcome to The Current Temp. I am Joey Solopek. I want to say thank you, of course, to Lexus of Memphis. You know, The Current Temp is where we like to discuss all things faith, finance, forecasting, and anything that impacts your family. And maybe more importantly to me, I love having a relationship with Lexus of Memphis, but also with my good friend Mearl Purvis, local living legend and recent recipient of the Silver Circle Award.
You can talk about it now.
Yeah, I can talk about it now. Last time I couldn't. Huge congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The Emmy Award, bringing you in, celebrating your work in television. And I mean, I know that was a humbling experience, but very cool for you.
It was very nice. It was to be there. It was unexpected because of so many things that I think should happen to people in West Tennessee that don't. And so I was so grateful.
Listen.
I was just so grateful.
Let me brag for you. It's not something she asked for. It's not something she lobbied for. It was presented to her on her behalf and very worthwhile. And
they were wonderful.
And I'm so happy for you.
They were generous. They were very wonderful.
All right. Thank you for being here today. Now listen, today's episode, what is wrong with these people? We're not naming villains today, all right?
No.
We're naming patterns, okay?
No.
And
Right.
we're going to come up with solutions. I like to always be positive and have a solution, but we're gonna run through something called personality types. Different personalities show up in different ways, especially under stress, and learning how to handle people and personalities can save your sanity both at work and at home. So as we take a look at these,
as you always said, turn the frown upside down.
Turn that frown
upside
upside
down.
down.
First things you ever said to me.
the other thing I said was I will punch him in the neck. But those are the two things I said.
I said, please don't make me
said,
take these earrings off.
Don't take my shoe off. Listen, so we're gonna discuss these. Merle's gonna give us some commentary as we go along. And you know, as I go through these, you're going to think of people you know. But I thought about this as I was putting this together. Some of these may apply to us as well. I'm talking about me. So I kind of saw my own faults as I was going through these.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start off with the first one.
Well,
It's called, go ahead. Did you have something to say?
I was just going to say to the producer, if my, like, this is how this should look. Okay, if it doesn't look this way, will you let me know? How does that look?
You can talk,
Oh,
Lisa.
okay.
You can.
It's Lisa.
All right. Now, all right.
Okay.
Personality type 1 is called the chronic complainer. All right. Now, before we jump into this, let me say that most negative personalities are really just expressions of an unhealthy trait, something like stress or fear or insecurity, or maybe a lack of self-awareness. We were just talking about that. They can help lead to these things. So the goal here is to help us all manage the interactions that we have. And we're not trying to diagnose or fix someone,
That's
but really
good.
manage how we deal with it. So the chronic complainer, this is someone who always points out what's wrong. Do we know anybody like that? Think through your head.
And it doesn't have to be like someone from work.
No, in fact, when I put this one together, I pointed the finger at myself because I thought back to my life as a young man in my late teens, early 20s, and I woke up one day and realized I'm constantly complaining about what's wrong. Like I was using it as a badge of honor. Look at all the things that are wrong in my day. And I finally realized I didn't want to be around myself.
Stinks.
You know,
Stinks.
when you complain all the time. So
Complainers.
what do? All right. A chronic complainer always points out what's wrong, rarely offers solutions, but we're going to give you do's and don'ts, okay? What to do with a chronic complainer, ask them, what would you change? In other words, with a chronic complainer, try to put them in the driving seat. What would you change? Then you're supposed to set a boundary on the time that they vent, okay? So if you've got someone who's everything is always wrong, you ask them, okay, what would you change about this situation? And don't let them just go on interminably. Now, here's the don't. That's the do.
Okay.
The don't is don't join the complaining because that validates the issue. All right? Everybody have a chronic complainer in head? Keep this in mind. This is what you can do. Ask them, what would you do to change the situation? Number 2, don't join in. There's a do and a don't. See how helpful this is?
This is really
All right.
great.
I got 7 of these. Here's number 2.
Why am I here? I'd rather be sitting here. I need
No.
notes.
I need to hear things you say.
Okay, can I say something about this?
Yeah.
Like this, we used to have this deacon at church.
Yeah.
Lisa, I'm sorry. Am I sitting back too far? I'm sorry. Am I?
I can bring you up.
Yeah, ask him, Deacon such and such, how you doing? Just waiting for the Lord to come take me. Well, after a while, you're just like, please, Lord, come on down. But that's wrong.
But that's a good point.
That's not the change we want.
No, but you're making a good point. And I think the problem is people just fall into that rhythm and they have a hard time getting out of it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how much is wrong with me. So here's some good ideas. Don't join in the complaining, but ask them, how do we fix it? And set a boundary on it. All right, see, you're already worth everything I paid you to be here.
I do.
All right,
Yeah.
which was nothing.
This is the second of my 3-show contract. Where's the camera?
That's not.
I have one more.
We're going to work on the
show
numbers.
out of my 3-show contract.
We're going to edit that out. That's not going to make the show. Number 2, the passive aggressive. Okay, this is someone who uses sarcasm or silent resistance. Now, and again, this could
thinking you don't recognize that they're being like.
Even it's being silent.
Bad.
Even silence can be a hurdle.
Yes.
Some people can use silence as a weapon, as we well know. And so this could be office or family member, either one. So the passive aggressive is coming at you with sarcasm or silent resistance. Here's what to do. Let's say with a coworker, you're calm with them, you address issues calmly, and you put expectations for them in writing. So if you've got someone who's a passive aggressive, you want to deal with them very calmly because energy begets energy.
Yes.
Keep the energy level low.
Yes.
And maybe you write out the things that you expect from them. Here's what you don't do. You don't ignore the passive aggressive because silence can fuel it. So you want to fight that by being calm and addressing the issue. So, in the grand scheme of things, passive aggressives can kind of sneak up on you. And I've been guilty of that. I've been accused by that by my loved ones that I tend to shut down when I don't know how to react. Maybe we'll get my guest host wife in here to.
I think I'd rather have the silent passive aggressive versus the other one.
No, that's right.
I would, and I think you're right about don't ignore it.
You can't ignore it.
If someone says something and you feel it, that's a real thing. And I think you don't let it grow. You say, when you said that, did you mean?
What did you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I think I heard you say, but I could be wrong. Is that what you meant?
Well, and what the thread that I think ties all these together is really us learning how to communicate better with different personality types. And so hopefully that's what this will help with. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see. I already did passive aggressive. I don't know how that got in there twice. Let's see here. Well, these might be a little out of order, but stick with me. The next one is the drama magnet. Okay. The one that I just passed over that I think I may have grabbed by mistake, I'm going to add in at the end. Okay. Number 3.
Queen.
The drama magnet
Or
king has constant emotional intensity and thrives on attention. Now, Mearl and I worked in a newsroom for many years, and that was almost a prerequisite to thrive on attention. And so I was trying to not think of dozens and dozens of people, but let's talk about the way you work on this. With the person who's a drama magnet, you want to, here's your do, stay calm. Again, that's a common theme here. Focus on facts and not feelings, and avoid emotional mirroring. Now, I thought that was interesting. Avoid emotional mirroring. So
these are awesome.
So have you ever seen somebody who's dramatic and you get caught up in it where you're acting like they are?
Yeah.
That's called emotional mirroring. That's what you don't want to do.
These are great.
You want to avoid it, which really leads to what you're supposed to do. That's a do. Don't react emotionally. So don't mirror their emotions and don't react emotionally. So let me recap the drama magnet. You want to defuse it by not feeding the drama. Mearl, have you ever known a drama magnet?
Never.
And listen.
Yes.
For someone as high profile, you were never a drama magnet. I never saw, in fact, I saw you go the other direction.
I'd rather disappear.
I saw you take dramatic and emotional things, and you were such a diffuser. I learned from that, watching you take emotional people and moments, and you would come in so calm. It was almost like they didn't know what to do except be calm.
And there's this screen grab. What would you call? No, Joey puts every now once a quarter. Joey used to put this side eye picture of me like. This is what I would do. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it was
yeah.
usually over drama.
Yeah.
Somebody that was just being so dramatic.
Yeah, that was a good photo of you, the side eye.
My mother has the same side eye, and I have a niece. There's this thing we all look like.
Hey, you know what? I'm really impressed, Lisa. You have not called her out for hitting the table.
I'm getting a lot of
Yeah,
feedback from here.
yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm
You know what,
doing
though?
that.
Hey,
Let's just do this.
I'm not
Oh,
going
let me do that.
All right.
And then I won't hit the table.
Here's the next one.
I'm so
The
sorry for
control
all
freak.
of you who cannot take the
control
sound
freak.
of tapping.
All right. The control freak micromanages, struggles to delegate, and needs things done their way. This goes hand in hand with the one that I passed by because I messed up the slides. Number 3 was the know-it-all. We're going to come back to the know-it-all. But the control freak really has to be in charge. So let's talk about do's and don'ts. With a person who has to be in control, you got to be transparent and you got to clarify your expectations. Okay, we're back to clean communication. You know, making sure you're transparent, very open with them. Here's what you don't do, and this is tough. You don't take those control battles personally. Listen, we've got an audience of hundreds of people here at the Current Temp, and I've had conversations with some of our audience members about these very things just today. So you don't take a control battle personally. Again, and I keep going back to TV news because it's just such a rich palette.
Yeah.
We had almost all these personalities.
Great personnel. And it made for a very interesting day.
Well, and let me ask
And
you
that's
this.
the positive. I mean, it was like you felt like you'd been to 12 cities by the end of the evening.
Right.
And 14 different events.
Let me ask you this. Do you think you can encounter the control freak in a family environment or with friends?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think family is the training ground.
That's where you learn.
You think family is?
I agree with you.
Yeah, okay, I agree. And
Yeah.
this is a big one in all families. And listen, there's nothing wrong with having a plan.
And this one in my family, she's still the same way. I'm just like, ain't you tired?
Well, and part of this discussion
Miss
is
Hilly, ain't you tired?
can't you take a breath? And part of this is that, and I'm going to say this again at the end, this is not with an expectation for us to change other people because we don't have that power. We can only
Right.
change how we approach things.
Right.
And how we can guide them into transparency. And I'm actually going through this in my head about different things I need to do already. But all right, here's the next one. All right. The victim. Nothing is ever their fault.
Oh,
The victim always
Lord.
blames circumstances or people, and the victim feels perpetually wronged. Someone is always out to get them.
Always.
This is a tough personality to deal with. So here's the do's and the don'ts. Here's the do when you're dealing with a victim. Focus on choices and facts, not excuses. And the other thing you're supposed to do, avoid rescuing. So that empowers a victim. And I've got a couple of folks I know who have this personality. I'm talking about
like they talk about codependency.
right.
Like you.
No, that's a great point. Codependency is enabling someone to be who they continue to be. This is trying to help people move forward. So that's the do. Here's the don't with the victim. Don't argue facts with them because it rarely helps. So if you know someone who has stepped into that sort of mindset that everybody's against me, I'm always wrong, somebody's always after me, don't rescue them. And don't argue with them, and just focus on choices they make.
And this can also apply to groups.
Oh yeah,
Just like
that's a great point.
somebody's always out to get my group.
Well, and that
Always out to destroy my group's joy.
that's an excellent point. Is that a lot of these can apply to larger groups, and of course, social media has just exacerbated this entire situation.
yes.
100%. All right.
I remember once on Victim, my mother said to someone in the family that she gave birth to. I'll just leave it at that.
Someone
like,
she gave birth to.
Do you realize that these same people that you say have been harming you have been following you around for 20 years and they don't exist?
Really?
That's what she said to this person in my family. I was like, thank you, Mama. Because just the victim always, the reason I don't have this job is because of that. The reason I don't have this car is because of that. And at dinner, she just said, for 20 years, do you realize these same imaginary people have been following just you? And that was the end of that conversation.
Do you think it landed? Was it received, or was it?
It
It landed with you, I can tell. You remember
it landed with all the rest of us non-victims.
Okay, all right.
But
All right.
I think the person heard Mama. But as you say, she was the only one who could say all that.
Well,
Because otherwise it would have just been like, oh,
stuck in the loop.
yeah. Don't argue the facts.
As I was going through these, I personally would go, okay, I've done that before, or I've slipped into that. And I was trying to be, again, building on myself. How do I avoid these pitfalls? Because we can't change other people.
Right.
But we can change how we approach them and what we allow to happen. Those gates can be opened and closed, and how you allow people in, or whether you say you need to stay on the other side of that fence until things improve. So, all right, we're almost at the end. The negative influencer. Okay, the negative influencer, this one's kind of unique. The negative influencer undermines people and things, undermines leadership, spreads doubt quietly, says things like, I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. That's the negative influencer.
And there could also be a little bit of passive-aggressive crossover.
That's
in that negative influence.
100%. And I also, in my head, I was thinking this is kind of a quiet instigator. That, someone who says, and I know I've got friends who will say, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. Well, all they're doing is trying to poke. Let me start some conflict here, because there are people that like conflict. Well, here are the do's and don'ts. If you have a negative influencer, address them privately, not in front of everyone, and document the situation. So address them, but make sure you kind of keep a little journal or something to say you've had these conversations. What you don't do with a negative influencer is you don't ignore it because it can spread. You want to make sure that you're dealing with a negative influencer the right way, privately, and don't let it spread. Now,
and some people even call this a cancer. That when you talk about spread,
yeah,
it's just like it does spread, and every step along the way, I'm not touching the table. Aren't you proud of me, Lisa? Every step along the way, it's causing a sickness in some little quadrant. It's like it makes people doubt themselves, or doubt their manager, or doubt even a friend. Because of that negative, that stinking thinking that is being spread.
I like that, stinking thinking. Mm-hmm. Toxicity can be contagious.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons we say don't ignore it, it spreads. Listen, we're going to do something unique here because I missed a slide here. For this blank one, this was supposed to be the know-it-all. And I don't know why this slide didn't get in here, but let me tell you about the know-it-all. The know-it-all dominates conversations, rarely admits mistakes, and always corrects others. All right, so I need a do and a don't for the know-it-all. What to do?
It's a whiteout.
That's why
I think that's perfect.
This is going to be the whiteboard. What you're supposed to do with the know-it-all, just imagine the know-it-all there. Let data and the outcomes speak. So with a know-it-all, you're going to have to use facts and let data and what happens speak to the occasion. What not to do, don't compete with the know-it-all for dominance, and don't embarrass them. Okay, two things about the know-it-all. I want to just point that out. All right, now listen.
It's almost like all of these are about one person I'm thinking of.
Well, listen, as you're...
Bill, throw me a pillow. I'm about to get into this thing here.
Listen.
Bill, throw me a pillow, put behind my back, and that way I won't drive Lisa crazy.
Oh, come on in here, Bill.
And it'll be comfortable.
Yeah. Listen, this is a grassroots organic podcast. Give her that one.
I'm the influencer.
So I was told this once, and I love this phrase.
Oh, I love this pillow.
That's a humongous pillow.
Love it.
The phrase was this: you don't manage the position, you manage the person. But I think that needs a little bit of tweaking, and I believe that's true. You don't manage a position, you manage the person. But when it comes to managing a person, you're actually managing their behaviors and your boundaries. And I'm going to say that again. When you're doing office interactions, or you could apply this to family, and you're dealing with an individual, you're really trying to manage their behavior and your own boundaries, right?
Right.
So you can't change someone's personality. Only they can do that, but you can change how you respond to them. So I think that's an important thing to remember, because this is a common thing at church. The pastor will be talking about a verse.
You are dropping some wisdom here, Joey Sellepeck.
You'll be sitting there in church. You'll be sitting there
wisdom.
listening to a verse the pastor's preaching, and you're going, that applies to him and her and that person. And you're never up doing it to yourself. I can't tell you how many Sundays I've gone, oh, I wish that person right there was listening, and thinking, wait a minute, what about my own sins, right? So you can't change someone else's personality. Only they can do that. But you want to manage those boundaries and behaviors, all right? So let's do a quick recap here, because I want to leave you with this, and we're almost done. This didn't take too long. What you can't do is you can change expectations. It's something you can do, okay? This is something you can do for a recap. You can change your expectations. You can change your communication style, okay, depending on who you're dealing with. You can change the consequences. And consequences are also a part of this learning experience. When you're talking to someone, let there be consequences for behavior. That doesn't mean put them in a timeout, but being transparent, not embarrassing them, and letting them know we've got some things we need to get better on, and here's how we move forward. Because at the end of the day, you don't control other people's personalities. You can only control how you respond to them.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a key point. Instead of constantly saying, I need to fix the other person, you can build a bridge to them, but you really have to also focus on how you respond and deal with it.
I read somewhere that you always hate in others the thing that you wish you could change most about yourself.
I've heard that, and I agree.
I totally agree with it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the reason it's so clear to you their problem is because you've lived with it your whole life in yourself.
Or have guilt over it.
And you have guilt
or battle
over
it. You
battle it yourself.
That's
and
exactly.
I love this. And communication stuff, I tend to just disappear. Just I just disappear.
Well, you're not a conflict person, and I actually
am
respect
not
that.
a conflict person.
And by the way, none of these things I pointed out encourage conflict. It's really more about calmly dealing with people, not enabling them by complaining with a complainer.
Well, you've just given people a system, a methodical way to handle things that may make them comfortable as well as other people, uncomfortable rather, as well as people around them. And, everything is moving so fast now. Nobody's really stopping to say, maybe try this.
Yeah.
Maybe try this. I say that, Joey, what you have dropped here, I think this is going to be trending.
Well,
this is going to be, what you're doing, what you've given us today is, it's going to be viral.
I hope it helps someone. The actual closeout here is what you control is how you respond to others. Awareness creates options. Okay. Boundaries create peace. I think those are two important things to remember.
Ooh, we could have entire boundaries.
Boundaries create peace. I love that phrase. And wisdom comes from knowing when to lean in and when to step back.
Right. Can we go back to boundaries?
Boundaries create peace.
Do they exist anymore?
Well,
when you think about social media,
yeah.
I mean, is there an understanding of what boundaries are anymore?
No, and that's, I think, largely in part because social media has led us to a lack of accountability.
Yeah.
And with no accountability or repercussions, there's no consequences. No. People don't have boundaries, and they feel like they can say or do the most outlandish things. And it dehumanizes, right?
And to be sure, Joey and I, we're not talking about when somebody comes up and gives you the biggest bear hug at Costco.
Right.
At Costco. Or when somebody comes over to me and just holds the camera up and say, come on, we're taking a picture. We're not talking about those kind of boundaries. Although, for some people, that's too much. We're accustomed to it. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, the boundary of making a comment or giving advice to another adult who neither sought your advice and would not appreciate it, and your advice has nothing to do with their real life. I mean, that's kind of.
Let me even add, and it just came to me, we should all be adding the boundary of time. And here's what I mean, the boundary of time. Because one of the problems with social media is that so many of us fire off a knee-jerk comment without any time to let it sit, sink in, calm down, and think it through. If we had the boundary of time, instead of just firing off the first thing that blurts out of our brain, we would probably respond differently. But because of the immediacy of social media, and let's take that into the office when we're face to face or at the home, it always turns out better if you take a moment to take a breath, take a walk, think it through, instead of just firing out. So the boundary of time, to me, helps you process.
Yep.
Because on social media, to your point, when you're giving unwanted, unsolicited advice immediately without thought, it's always bad. It's never good advice. Never. And I've said this a million times. Nobody's ever won an argument on Facebook. In fact,
Not going to.
no, all you learn is these are the people I want to stay away from because it's like a siren going off. It's poorly thought out and it's just inflammatory.
Right.
But if we would take time to let emotions cool.
And it may not even be what you mean.
Exactly right.
It's because you don't know which one of those personalities you're dealing with when you're responding to somebody on Facebook.
Well, that's right.
You don't know which personality.
You don't know the details.
But you know they're all out there.
And listen, we've in this format of this podcast, we can dialogue and speak and think things out. This would be different if you and I were firing back text messages or on Facebook because you can't expound and let it breathe. That's a bad format to give life advice or attack or whatever. It's a terrible place for that because we don't give each other time. We don't have empathy. Listen, I could go on and on. In fact, we may need to do another entire show about social media do's and don'ts, but let me bring it back home. Boundaries create peace.
We've only been here 8 minutes.
All
I
right.
think you can.
How long
carry
has
on.
it been, Lisa? How long have we?
27.
27. She's about to cut me off. All right. Anything you want to add before we close down?
I just love the. Oh, I do need to tell you about. I love hats.
Yep. That's a nice one. by the
Okay,
way.
so a member of your family, your wife and I, are going to take a trip to a very exclusive town where
Boot Barn?
Beyonce
Boot Barn on Winchester? Shout out to Boot Barn on Winchester.
Where Beyonce has her
They're not a
hats
sponsor yet.
made because your family member said that's where we got to go, girl. So we're going to go there. We can't afford any of the hotels, but we're going to have.
We're going to fly in.
We're
get a
going to
hat,
fly in. We've
out.
got sleeping bags and warm socks. We're going to have our hats made like Beyonce. Because once we get the hat made, that's all we have the money for. We're taking our own lunch.
Yeah.
But when we come back, buddy,
Listen, before.
don't even think about.
Speaking of hats.
Look at what I gave.
Mearl wore this on the very first episode.
This is what I gave you.
Because this is what you wore when you tracked
I
her.
miss you so much.
When you worked the tractor, but just so you all know, that has sat right
is a
here
Gold Coast
for
hat.
months since Mearl. She wore. This is what she
Do you
wears
remember?
when she's tractoring. I
It's
remember.
my tractor hat.
It's
And
just
I've
here.
got another one that's dressy, which someone took for that one.
Well, the Mearl Purvis presence is always here. Listen, we'll have to do one of your 12 contracted visits when you have your hat back. Didn't we say?
You're tapping on the table.
Didn't we say 12 contracted visits? That's what I remember.
3. This
300.
we got one more.
I
You're
can't-
gonna.
I thought it was three.
Three.
Three more for this year.
I thought it
No,
was 3 more
the
this
total
week.
is 3, and the third one you are going to love my
can't hear
third
you.
and last
Math is-
show
math is not your
because you're
strength,
going to
Purvis.
get to meet our muse,
Who?
Jesse.
You've called him out, so now he's got to come on the show.
He is our muse. He has to come on the show.
Jesse JT Tisdale, you heard me. All right, I might have to put a picture of him in here.
Joey, I love that you did this.
Well, this was
It's
actually
quick.
Bill's idea.
Of
It was a
course.
Bill Gerner concept,
Of
and it was a
course.
great idea to talk about personality. He made a great point. He said, I've never heard anybody discuss these, and I'm big on body language, and it's something that's on when
You
we're on
read
air.
the book about body
love
language,
that.
and you shared a lot of that with us. It was really interesting.
Yeah, body language is the way we talk without words, and it's really fascinating. You can have a complete conversation without speaking a word just by the way somebody looks or stands or whatever. So when it comes to personality types, it helps to deal with other people if you have a sense of, oh, that's a know-it-all, or that's a chronic complainer, or I'm a chronic complainer.
chronic
How do I
complainer.
fix it going forward? Anyway,
I know Lisa's about to cut us off, but I'm reading a book called The Happiness Advantage, and the author says you can change your entire mood of life by taking 7 days in a row and every day wake up and list 5 things you're grateful for. And I've always been a grateful person, but I'm here to tell you,
Preach.
it works. Just 5 things you're grateful for. And I mean, and he said just like little things, like I'm not grateful, I'm grateful for my car, not that. Just like now I look up and if there is a sunset that's like I wasn't expecting, I'm just like, hot dog, thank you, God. I'm so grateful I was here for this moment, this sunset. Just try it.
I love that so much. I'm going to tell a quick story. I know we're going over our allotted time. Years ago, I worked on Beale Street, and I was working at King's Palace behind the bar. It was a dead night. There was nobody there. And there was a little gentleman who worked at the Peabody, little old man. He would walk home from the Peabody to wherever he lived, and he would stop in for one draft beer, okay? It was a cold night. This guy came in. I knew him from every night he came in. I always just set him one down. He would have one and go home. And he sat down at this bar. We were the only two there. It was completely empty. And the bar there was this beautiful, old, rich, sort of mahogany bar.
Oh, yeah.
Just you and I would never even think about the bar top. This guy sat down. He'd worked all day at the Peabody. He was probably in his 70s.
Wow.
He just started rubbing his hand down the grain of this bar. I can remember seeing his hand look like mahogany. He just looked like just this rich veins, and he just sat there and rubbed it up and down this old bar. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Look at this beautiful wood."
Oh.
I said, and I'd never stopped and even paid attention. I'd go, "That is." He goes, "Who knows how long this wood has been around?"
This is what I mean.
It's beautiful. And he finished it, smiled, and walked off. And I have made a point, not that he was this magical turning point, but I think about him quite often when I see a sunset, or I look at my beautiful wife, or I'm thankful that I've got health in the moment.
Yep.
And I have made a habit, and this is something you have to do. I've made it a habit that when I wake up in the morning, every single morning I do this. When my eyes open, I make a habit of acknowledging God above and go, "Thank you that I didn't wake up with a headache," or "Thank you that I'm not in the rain. I have a roof over my head."
Yeah.
Or "Thank you that this bed is dry and warm." And you're right. And I'll say this. I love this phrase. I heard this from a guy at church. Anxiety suffocates in a Thanksgiving-rich environment. And if you suffuse yourself,
say that again, brother.
anxiety suffocates in a Thanksgiving-rich environment. That if you fill the space around you with things you're thankful for, you find anxiety and things dropping because you're like, look at all these blessings God has given me. Instead of me worrying about what I don't have, let me celebrate what I do have.
Yeah.
Whether it's vision or my sinuses are clear today or all the things we take for granted.
Oh, my gosh.
I think you said wisdom. You got me going down that path, but you're exactly right about being thankful.
Every morning, grateful. I start out with my 5 things I'm grateful for. And it's amazing.
Do you do 5 every morning?
Well, I sometimes,
More?
it's more. It's like this morning, it was my shearling house slippers
Your feet were
that
warm.
I found for less than the price of Uggs.
You sound like my wife.
You know what I mean,
She
Lisa?
knows. Yeah, she
it's
knows.
like, I love shearling. It keeps things warm, no perspiration. And I found some that were less than Uggs. And I was like, oh, I'm so grateful for this.
That your feet are warm.
That my feet are warm.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who's like a family member. She's a young woman. And she said to me, I want to be like you. Like, you know how you're bougie, but you don't ever spend money? I said, I said, that's not like a compliment.
I was wondering, no.
I said,
Yeah, you're bougie, but you don't spend money.
Bougie, I said, for my generation, it's really not a compliment. She said,
Right.
oh, but I don't mean it as, she was just like, I just want to know how to be bougie, but not spend money like you. I was like, you have to grow up in it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I said, I just like, I respect money. I value what it took in order to acquire money. And I think most things are overpriced.
Yeah.
I said, I'm interested in quality more
Right.
than anything else. I want a quality relationship. I want quality fabrication. I want quality tires. I just don't want to have to pay all my money for it.
You've always been
That's
very
not
frugal.
bougie.
No, that's being frugal. And that comes, in my opinion, from growing up with a sense of value of what things are worth.
Yeah.
You know, I know how you grew up. I know the family life. And so
Right.
when you grow up that way, you have a different perspective on what things cost and what you want. You know, I remember when my cousin Heather was going to her high school prom at Houston, and my grandmother, God rest her soul, Tootie, who you knew.
Love Tootie.
We were about to see Heather go out the door to her prom, and she had on a nice dress, and Tootie goes, "Has that got a pocket?" And Heather goes, "Well, maybe. Why?" And Tootie goes, she grabbed a can. She goes, "Put this Coke in there so you don't have to buy one at the dance." And I remember cracking up. She was as serious as could be. And Heather was like, "You have lost your mind. I'm not carrying a can of Coke in my prom dress, so I don't have to buy one at the dance." But that was her mindset. You know, she grew up in the Great Depression and in country in Texas with dirt floors. And she was like, "No, why would you not take this can of Coke and put it in your dress?" I get it.
I mean, okay.
Different mindset.
Finally, all right. I know Lisa's going to cut all this out. Well, you just have to cut it out. Because, I mean, I was at the movie theater with my good friend Peggy Brewer, who spent her career at MLGW. Bill might know her. Anyway, fabulous, classy woman, and a great cook. We went to see a movie, the Summer Avenue, not the drive-through, but remember there's a movie theater. It was like, you turn off Summer and
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually used to go there. I know exactly what
You
you're
know what I
talking
mean?
about. Yeah.
So we're there, and she's got in her purse a Coke,
Yeah.
a hamburger, and some potato chips.
Okay.
So I said, "Pete, you can't do that." And she was like, "Nobody cares." The second she popped the top on that Coca-Cola, it just happened to be when one of the attendants was near her.
Yeah.
And he leaned over, he said, "Excuse me, ma'am, you're going to have to get rid of this Coke." I was so embarrassed. She said, "Fine, you can he said, "Here." So he took it, left, and then she opened her hamburger. Then she undid her aluminum foil and opened her hamburger.
Listen, when I go to the movies with my wife, she has the crock pot. She's got the extension cord running down the aisle.
The Rotel dip.
Rotel dip. Got a push cart with chips on it. I'm not paying for these
that's
prices.
bougie. Not spending money.
You know what that is? That's shabby chic right there. I respect it. All right, listen.
This is great.
This was so great.
Thank you.
We love Mearl Purvis. Thank you for being
One
here.
more.
Bill Gerner, thanks for the idea.
Thank you, Bill.
Any closing
And
thoughts?
the pillow.
Silver Circle?
Bill, thank you for the pillow.
Any Silver Circle closing thoughts?
No silver circle
All right.
closing talks.
Listen, folks, thank you for watching. You saw Lexus of Memphis. We're huge fans.
Yeah.
Go by there and see the great people and the great products. And if you
Talk about quality.
for real. And listen, if you've got an idea, you saw the slide earlier, you can email us thecurrenttemp@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you here next week.